Have you ever wondered why some people can suck all your energy and leave you feeling drained even after a quick conversation? The truth is that there are 5 specific types of people who, without you realizing it, are robbing you of your peace of mind every day. What if I told you that you could identify each of them in the next few minutes and learn exactly how to set boundaries to protect your peace of mind? Many people spend years suffering in toxic relationships, feeling guilty for wanting some peace and quiet, without realizing that the problem is not with them. What you will discover in this video are the exact characteristics of these 5 personalities that drain your energy, and more importantly, practical strategies to create healthy boundaries without feeling bad about it. If you don't learn to recognize these patterns now, you'll continue to sacrifice yourself for others while your own inner peace slowly fades away. But when you master these techniques, you'll finally achieve that sense of lightness you've been searching for. Stay until the end, because the 5th person on the list is the most dangerous, and it could be someone very close to you. Type 1. The constant complainer. The first type of person you need to set limits on is the constant complainer. You know this type of person well. They are the ones who always have something negative to say, who see a problem in everything and turn any conversation into a venting session about how difficult life is. The problem this person creates in your life is very serious. They act like an emotional vampire, sucking all your positive energy and contaminating your state of mind. When you spend time with someone like this, you leave the conversation feeling heavy, discouraged, and even irritated, even if you were fine before. Science has proven that emotions are contagious. When someone constantly complains around you, your brain automatically enters the same negative state. It's as if you absorb all that negativity without even realizing it. That's why, after meeting that person, you feel mentally drained. To apply boundaries in practice, you need to use the technique of redirection. When the complainer starts spouting negativity, you gently change the subject to something more positive. For example, if the person is complaining about work, you might say something like, "I understand that it's been tough, but tell me one good thing that happened to you this week." If the person insists on returning to the negative topic, you can be more direct and say, "I'd rather focus on the things that make us feel good." Another powerful strategy is to limit your exposure. You don't have to cut this person out of your life completely, but you can drastically reduce the amount of time you spend with them. Plan shorter dates in public places and always have an excuse to leave when the negativity starts. The direct benefits of this action are impressive. First, you will notice that your mood improves significantly. Second, your energy will remain stable throughout the day. Third, you will start attracting more positive people into your life, because negative people drive positive ones away. And fourth, you will develop a healthier, more optimistic mindset. Type 2. The emotional manipulator. The second type of person who steals your peace is the emotional manipulator. This person specializes in making you feel guilty to get what they want. They use phrases like, "If you loved me, you would do this," or "after everything I've done for you," to pressure you. The biggest problem with emotional manipulators is that they distort your feelings and mess with your self-esteem. You start to question your own decisions, feel guilty about things you shouldn't, and end up doing things you don't want to do just to avoid conflict. Over time, you lose your identity and your ability to make independent decisions. This type of person is dangerous because they use your feelings against you. They know your weak points and know exactly which buttons to push to make you give in. It's like they have an instruction manual for your personality and use it to control you. In practice, to deal with an emotional manipulator, you need to learn to recognize their tactics. When someone tries to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, that's a red flag. A person who truly cares about you will respect your boundaries, not try to break them. The most effective technique is to respond with neutrality. When the manipulator tries to make you feel guilty, respond calmly and firmly without over-excusing yourself. For example, if the manipulator says, "You never have time for me," you might respond with, "I understand that you would like more time together, but I need to balance my priorities." Don't get into a long argument or try to prove your point. Another important strategy is to avoid making decisions under pressure. When someone tries to manipulate you, tell them you'll think about it and respond later. This breaks the cycle of manipulation and gives you time to analyze the situation clearly. The benefits of setting boundaries with a manipulator are life-changing. You'll regain your self-confidence, stop feeling guilty about normal things, and develop a clearer understanding of healthy relationships. Plus, you'll attract people who naturally respect your boundaries. Type 3. The emotional dependent. The third type you need to identify is the emotionally dependent person. This is the person who cannot solve anything on their own and always needs you to make decisions, solve problems, or simply to feel good about themselves. The problem with emotionally dependent people is that they transfer all the responsibility for their happiness to you. This creates enormous pressure because you feel obligated to always be there to solve someone else's problems. Over time, you lose your own identity and become a walking emotional support system. This person usually has very low self-esteem and believes that they cannot live without you. They call you at any time, seek you out for the smallest decisions, and despair when you are not available. It is as if you are their unpaid therapist, always on call. To set boundaries with an emotionally dependent person, you need to use the technique of gradual encouragement. Instead of solving the person's problems for them, you help them find their own solutions. For example, when they come to you with a problem, instead of giving them the answer, ask, "What do you think you should do?" Or, "What options do you see in this situation?" It's also important to set specific times when you'll be available. You could say something like, "I'll help you out, but I can't talk about it until later this afternoon." This teaches the person not to rely on you at any given moment and to think of their own solutions. Another important strategy is to celebrate small, independent achievements. When the person makes a decision on their own, praise them for doing so. This reinforces independent behavior and helps build their self-confidence. The direct benefits of this approach are incredible. First, you'll have much more time and energy for your own priorities. Second, it will help the person develop emotional independence, which is good for them too. Third, it will create more balanced and healthy relationships. And fourth, it will free you from that constant feeling of carrying someone else's emotional burden. Now, before we continue, if this video is helping you identify these people in your life, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next content. And comment below where you are watching from. I want to know where my followers are. Type 4. The toxic competitor. The fourth type of person who drains your energy is the toxic competitor. This person turns everything into a competition and can never be genuinely happy with their achievements. They always have a better story, a more impressive experience, or a bigger problem than you. The biggest problem with toxic competitors is that they never let you have your moment to shine. When you share good news, they immediately downplay your accomplishment or tell you something even better that happened to them. This creates an environment where you feel uncomfortable celebrating your victories. This person acts like a joy thief. They steal your moments of happiness and turn them into opportunities to promote themselves. It is impossible to have a genuine conversation with someone like this because everything becomes a competition to see who is better in life. To deal with a toxic competitor in practice, use the technique of limited validation. When he tries to compete with you, briefly acknowledge what he said and change the subject. For example, if you tell him about a promotion at work and he responds that he also got promoted to an even better position, you can say, "That's great," and immediately change the focus of the conversation to another topic. Another effective strategy is to avoid fueling the competition. Avoid sharing important personal achievements with this person. Reserve that information for people who will genuinely be happy for you. When the competitor tries to provoke you into a competition, simply don't play along. It's also important to set clear boundaries about what you're willing to discuss. If the person keeps turning conversations into competitions about work, money, or relationships, you can say, "I'd rather not talk about that. and suggest other, more neutral topics. The benefits of setting boundaries with your toxic competitor are liberating. You'll be able to celebrate your accomplishments without fear of having to defend or justify yourself. You'll develop more genuine relationships with people who truly root for you. Your self-esteem will improve because you'll no longer be constantly comparing yourself to someone who's always trying to outdo you, and you'll create a more positive environment around you where people feel comfortable sharing both their successes and their struggles. Type 5. The covert narcissist. The fifth and most dangerous type of person you need to set limits on is the covert narcissist. Unlike the overt narcissist, this person is subtle and hard to identify. They present themselves as a victim, as someone sensitive and misunderstood, but in reality, they manipulate situations to always be the center of attention. The problem with a covert narcissist is that he is a master at making you feel special at first, but then he uses this to control you. He has studied you, knows exactly what you want to hear, and uses this information to create an emotional dependency. It's like he's an actor playing the perfect role to gain your trust. This person is extremely dangerous because they don't seem toxic at first glance. They may be charming, interesting, and even vulnerable, but little by little, you realize that every conversation revolves around them, that your problems never matter, and that you always end up being the one to blame when something goes wrong. The covert narcissist uses sophisticated tactics such as making you question your own memory, minimizing your feelings, and creating situations where you always have to prove yourself. He never takes responsibility for his own mistakes and always finds a way to turn the situation to his advantage. To deal with this type of person in practice, you need to trust your perceptions more than their words. If you feel confused, drained, or always wrong after interacting with someone, this could be a sign that you are dealing with a covert narcissist. The most effective strategy is to keep a mental record of interactions. When something strange happens, write it down or remember the details. This will help you notice patterns of behavior that on their own may seem normal, but together reveal the person's true nature. Another important technique is to not over-explain yourself. The covert narcissist loves it when you over-explain yourself because it gives him more ammunition to use against you. Be direct and concise in your answers, and don't feel the need to prove yourself right. It's also important to maintain your support network. A covert narcissist will often try to isolate you from others in order to gain more control over you. Maintain regular contact with friends and family who know you well and can offer different perspectives. The benefits of identifying and setting boundaries with a covert narcissist are profound. You'll regain your self-confidence, stop questioning your own sanity, and develop a keener intuition for identifying genuine people. You'll let go of relationships that drain your energy and attract people who genuinely care about your well-being. Now that you've identified these 5 types of people who steal your peace, it's time to put everything you've learned into practice. Remember that setting boundaries isn't being selfish, it's being healthy. You have the right to protect your energy, your peace of mind, and your emotional well-being. Starting today, start observing the people around you with new eyes. Identify which of these patterns you recognize in your relationships and gradually begin implementing the strategies I have shared with you. Your inner peace is too precious to sacrifice for people who don't respect your boundaries. When you protect your energy, you create space for healthier relationships and a fuller, more satisfying life. Now I want to know from you, which of these types of people do you identify with the most? Which situation affected you the most? Leave your experience in the comments and let's continue this conversation. And don't forget to share this video with someone who also needs to learn to set limits to have more peace.